Let me open up here my IDE. All right, this is just stuff I've been working on. Okay, cool. Okay, hello everybody, and today we will be talking about variable scopes within C++. A scope is an area of code where you can access certain variables in order to modify them. In other words, a scope of a variable is part of your program where a variable may be used. The first type is called a local or function scope. The second is global scope. The third is called a block scope. And the fourth type is the nested scope. Now today we'll be only focusing on the global and local scopes. So in C++, scopes allow you to create variables that are often flexible in nature. For example, here, if you look on the left, you'll see that we have integer g with a value of 20. This is a global variable. As you can see, the difference between this variable and this variable is that this one is enclosed in braces and this one is not. This is why it's called the global variable, because this integer here, this value, is you're capable of using this variable in anywhere in your code, while here you're only capable of maintaining this value within these braces. And so it limits your capability. Well, in a sense, it maximizes your capability, but it limits your capability within this value. You can only use this value within these brackets. And so in C++, the scope of variable defines the region of code within which that variable is visible and can be accessed. This concept plays a crucial role in program organizations and preventing unintended variable interactions, for example. So we already talked about some of the scopes available to you as a tool. You have the global scope again, or the global variable. So again, it's a variable that's declared outside any function or class. They can be accessed from anywhere within your program, and while convenient, excessive use of global variables can lead to unintended side effects and make your code even harder to translate or to understand. And so a local scope or local variable are variables declared within a function or block. So they are only visible within the function or block where they are declared, and this helps in creating more modular or organized code by limiting the visibility of variables to the parts of the program where they are needed. And again, I'm not going too in depth with the other ones, but just for reference, a class scope, for example, is a variable declared within a class, and they can be accessed from any member of function of the class. So class members can be further classified as public, private, or protected, controlling their accessibility from outside that class. So now we're just gonna jump straight into our IDE here so I can give you an example. So let's first define something. Let's just call it our global variable. Okay. And just to make it easier to read, let me just, yeah, there you go. And let's give it a value of 10, let's say, right? So remember, this is your global scope. And now let's begin some other steps. You can say something like void function 1, and we put our first bracket. Now within that bracket, we can define our local variable and give it a value of, let's say, 20. So this would be your local scope. Okay. So now we can just close it off. Sorry, that's within my comment. Now we can just close it off, and we can say, let's add another one, but this time let's call it function 2. Another bracket, open bracket, let's call it integer local variable 2. I don't know what's wrong with my typing today. And let's give it a value of 30. So this is another local scope. Okay. So, and let's close it off. So now you have here two different integers. And the thing is, This one, as it's your local scope, will remain this value, but these other variables would differ depending on the, I put function 1 here, depending on which function you're using. We could even add another one here. We could say something like int main, open bracket, and we can say int local variable 3, and let's give it let's just do 40 to follow the pattern. So this would be your local variable that connects to your main function. Okay, and we can close it off. All right. So now you could say something like within this bracket here, within this scope, you could say something like function 1 and function 2. Okay, and then of course your return 0. Okay, so now let's go a little deeper. So your global variable, again, can be accessed from anywhere within your program, and your local one is only accessible within function 1. And the same thing goes here, right? Your local variable 2 is only accessible within function 2, and your local variable 3 is only accessible within the main function. And so variables declared within a block, which is these brackets here, right, the open and close brackets, have a local scope. Functions have their own local scopes, meaning variables declared within a function are not accessible outside that function. And global variables can be accessed from anywhere in the program, but their overuse can lead to code that is difficult to understand and maintain. And understanding variable scope is essential for writing well-organized and error-free C++ programs. And so that's pretty much, this tutorial was pretty simple, nothing too big, but it's an important idea, and it's definitely very vital for you to understand this concept in order for you to build on more complex coding and further along in the future. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and see y'all next time.